Well, apologies, friends. We were having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, everything is okay now. We're going to be talking about some similarities and differences between different animals. So, we're going to be exploring the similarities and differences between sharks and fish. So, this is a fish. This is a Garibaldi, and you might notice that it has some unique features like the color. Probably the body shape is different than the shark. It also has some features. You might see that sharks and the fish both have eyes. As you might notice, they have the Garibaldi has some bright blue eyes. You might notice the fins and a little bit of the scales. But if we pull up a picture of a shark now, we might get into the details of what a shark might look like. Now, this is a wonderful picture of a great white shark, and you can see that even though there are some similarities, there are more differences than anything, especially with the great white shark. One of them being size, these animals are really, really large, but I want to draw attention to this shape of the shark. I'm going to step on screen so we can kind of see the shape. You can start see the snout or the nose of the shark is very, very pointy, and then it kind of comes off the point and gets larger and larger, and eventually ends up rounding out to a point again. And that is a very unique shape, and it's called a fusiform shape that lots of different sharks have, and it makes it very, very easy for them to move through the water. It's a very hydrodynamic shape that allows them to uh, just very swim with a lot of ease and um, do their daily activities in the water. And so that body shape is one of the main uh, things that lots of different sharks have in common. Now, you might notice something else, which is these eyes right here. Yep, they don't have those pretty blue eyes that the Garibaldi have. They have much darker eyes, the great whites. But if you might, as we explore the different types of sharks that are out there, you'll notice that each shark has a very unique eye depending on their habitat and also their habits. One other thing that you might notice is very, very different is this right here, the teeth. Sharks have very, very unique teeth, much different than lots of fish. Um, well, like I mentioned before, sharks are a type of fish. They're a cartilaginous fish, meaning that even though they have a backbone just like fish do, their skeletons are not made out of bone like you and I or any other fish. They are have very flexible and still tough bone structure that allows them to move through the water very easily and swim and do all the movements that is required of them. One of the only really hard parts of a shark is their mouth or their teeth, where they use what they use to eat. And so maybe we can see an example of some of these shark teeth. Let's see if we can get yeah. Oh, let me step off right here so we can see these beautiful, beautiful teeth from the sand tiger shark. Now, what do we notice about these teeth? That they are very, very sharp, of course. Another thing that stands out is the shape and just the quantity of teeth. You might notice that there's rows and rows stacked upon each other, and that actually has a function. Sharks have rows and rows of teeth that function like a conveyor belt. They are able to just kind of regrow any teeth that might get knocked out or get loose as they're trying to eat or looking for food or going about their day. And I typically refer to sharks as teeth factories, meaning that they're just constantly producing teeth. Um, they can kind of regrow a full set of teeth in a matter of weeks. and this is something that's just normal for them. It's a very important tool that they use uh, throughout their daily lives to eat, to explore, interact with the world, and so as, it also gives us very important clues as to how these sharks conduct their lives and their diet. So an animal like the shark that we have in front of us here, with a very long, sharp teeth, would likely eat large fish or squid, um, stuff that needs prey that would need to become impaled or maybe need to prevent the shark would need to prevent them from getting away. These sharp needle-like teeth can kind of function like fish hooks that kind of like hook the fish and prevents it from leaving, and the shark can kind of eat the fish whole. That they don't really chew their food. They just need to be able to get to the fish, which is why it's so important that these uh, teeth face inward. Right now, if we compare these teeth to a different set, we'll see how the diet might change. And thank you, Jeanette. This is a great example of what I mean by the teeth determining the type of animal the type of prey that these sharks go for. So this is a Port Jackson or a horned shark, a local shark that's found off of our coast, a shark that's found off of our coast, and you might notice something very, very striking is that they do not have very, very sharp teeth. They mostly have just these little nubby teeth that do not um, look like they would hurt at all. They don't look very terrifying. They kind of look very interesting. They kind of look more like they would crush and grind the food that they would eat. You might also notice that there's lots and lots of rows of teeth, just like that sand tiger shark. So even though their teeth might look different uh, and have a different shape, they still have that same characteristic of, the conveyor belt system of replacing and growing those rows of teeth. Because, sharks, they need to have teeth. If they didn't have these teeth, they wouldn't be able to live out their lives. Now, sharks have teeth, right, in their mouth. They have lots and lots of teeth, and they could be long and sharp and pointy for those fish that are slippery and can get away, or they could be short, kind of stubby, to crush and grind small shellfish and invertebrates that you find on the ocean floor. But sharks also have a very unique adaptation uh, that also involves teeth, but it's not in their mouth, it's actually in their skin. So if you can kind of pull up an example of what that might look like. So shark skin is very, very unique in that it has teeth all over it. Now you see all of those little points on the shark, then those are teeth. And those teeth serve a very important function. Not only do they allow the shark to cut through the water and they reduces drag as they're swimming, which is actually very important, right? You would want to be as efficient as possible if you were to live in the ocean. You wouldn't want just water holding you back. These thermal denticles, as they're called, denticles because they are tiny teeth, and dermal having to do with the skin. These dermal denticles um, allow the shark to, like I said, cut through that water, creating that smooth glide and hydrodynamic um, like efficiency through their swimming. Now, That's just one function. Now, they actually serve another purpose. These dermal denticles actually have antimicrobial properties that prevent parasites from latching onto their skin. So not only do they make them or allow starch to smoothly flow through the water, it actually prevents parasites, which is really, really amazing. And here we see a beautiful view of one of our zebra sharks. And you can see those dermal denticles. You can see that skin, how it looks almost like fish scales, right? Because sharks are fish. However, they are not quite fish scales. And so these dermal denticles is a very important adaptation that allows the sharks to, carry out and live their lives. And now I've been using this word, and I'm step back on screen real quick. I've been using this word quite a bit, adaptation. So let's break down what it actually means. Maybe we can get it on screen. Yeah, that's the word, adaptation. Now, adaptation, here at the aquarium, we like to think of an adaptation as a tool on the animal's body that allows it to perform a certain function in its daily life. So, if we look at this shark right here, and we step over here to the side. Oh, wrong way. If I step over here and we look at this great white shark, now what are some other adaptations that we might see that would help the shark live? Hmm. I see one right here. Everyone notice these lines. These lines are the gill slits. And if we notice, we can try to count them. We can try to count how many gill slits they have. It has one, two, three, four, and five. Five gill slits on sharks, and that's typical for most sharks. If we pull up another picture of a shark, more than likely, if we count the gill slits, we will find out that there's five of them. So well, let's try that one more time. It might be a little hard to see with this one, but you can see here it has similar one, two, three, four, and five gill slits. So that's a very common characteristic among most sharks. They have five gill slits, and those gill slits allow water to go and enter the gills, which allow them to breathe underwater. And now we have two different kinds or strategies within just having gill slits. There are some sharks that need to be active, like our black tip reef shark. They need to be actively swimming around and moving that water over their gills, just like this. Right? You see that they're just actively swimming in the open ocean or near reefs, but they're in the middle of the water column. They're not resting in the bottom, right? They're kind of just like in the water constantly moving. Now we have other sharks like our leopard shark that do enjoy spending time on the seafloor. Now you can see that it has the same. Let's count them. Let's see if we can count them. It has one, two, three, four, and right here, this very faint line. That's five. It also has five gill slits. But now, unlike the other shark, this shark can actually lay on the bottom of the seafloor and just kind of hang out there. And that's because they have another adaptation called spiracles. They have these special holes. Maybe we can pull up a picture of these holes that are on the kind of the side of their head or the top of their head that allow them to bring in water into the gills without having to constantly be moving. And that's pretty amazing because it allows them to kind of rest and sit. You can see them right here on this amazing horn shark. There are this little hole right here. That's a spherical. You might notice that the shark here in this picture, this horn shark, is very clearly laying flat on the floor. It's moving a lot closer to the seabed. just because it has that special tool that allows it to actually live and move along the bottom of the floor. Now, if you were to also check out this shark's eye, it's a really cool eye. Yeah, that looks very different than our great white shark's eye. You might notice that it has a lot more color. There's also a very unique feature in that it looks kind of like a cat's eye, like see that very slit, or even a snake eye. It has a kind of nice slit iris where the pupil is mostly like golden. Um, and that's interesting because uh, their eyes are also a tool, just like their teeth, and they change from shark to shark based on the habitat. Horned sharks live near kelp forests, which are, you know, very maybe like shallow to deep, maybe between 30 and 100 feet deep, um, which is relatively not that deep when talking about the ocean. So they live pretty close to the surface, and they they get plenty of light in the kelp forest, so they don't really need that much vision or huge pupils like our great white shark or even a blue shark that lives in the open ocean. So you see the eyes of the great white shark, they tend to be a lot larger first off, but they also are a lot darker, as in they let in more light, and they also let in more light. Now, now with the eyes, we also have our tiger shark that has similar eyes to the horn shark that we saw, except their pupils are not slitted; they're more round, right? So there's these very striking similarities and differences between different sharks, not only on their teeth but on their eyes. All these different adaptations come together and allow these sharks to live in their habitats. And now you may wonder, why why are sharks important, right? Sharks are very misunderstood creatures. They they have all these sometimes intense features like very sharp teeth. They get a bad rap in the media, but here at the aquarium, we actually think sharks are super amazing and they're really important for the environment. They are one of the one of the driving forces in the ocean that helps to keep our ocean populations of fish healthy. Without sharks, we wouldn't have a healthy and thriving ocean like we do today. They are what's called opportunistic feeders, right? Sharks, they kind of are the ones that are taking out the trash. They don't go after the healthy and very, uh, very vigorous fish, but they do take on the task of kind of like going after the diseased fish, some of the older animals, some of the sicker animals that make more of an easy meal for them. And so, in this way, by removing those animals the the environment, they're able to provide this service in that the rest of the fish tend to be healthier and thrive. Now, you might be wondering, what are some of the ways that sharks are being conserved, or some of the projects that are going on um, and are, you know, making sure that we have enough of these sharks? Because, as you may know, some of these animals are endangered uh, throughout the world, and one of them we have them right here at the aquarium. Uh, and that is the zebra shark. I'm gonna just step off screen so you can take a look at our beautiful zebra shark. And now you might be wondering, well, why is it called a zebra shark if there's no stripes? Well, it's kind of complicated. It has a lot to do with where the zebra shark is from. Zebra shark comes from the tropics, in the tropical areas, and it's typically called a leopard shark in Australia due to all the dots. But since we have our very own species of leopard shark here in Southern California, we opted to call this a zebra shark due to the fact that when zebra sharks are first born, they actually have stripes and look a little bit like zebras. But once they grow to be adults, they tend to have this spotted pattern, which is another beautiful example of the diversity of the different sharks in our ocean. And now these amazing animals, these zebra sharks, we have a project here at the aquarium with one of our research scientists that's actually uh, pioneering artificial insemination with zebra sharks. And now you might ask, well, why do we want to artificially inseminate sharks? And so because these sharks and animals are endangered and they are threatened, their populations are not doing so great. And so, by being able to perfect and pioneer some of these techniques, it is our hopes that we can share the technique and eventually be able to uh, bring up the populations and maybe introduce some of these animals back into the wild that are struggling and help to keep our oceans doing healthy and maintain that balance that we have in our ecosystem. So I just want to say thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I do want to apologize for my technical difficulties in the beginning of our program, but thank y'all for sticking around. Like I mentioned, if y'all have any questions, if you're not watching this live, feel free to text or email to live@lbaop.org, and we can get those questions back to you. Um, get them answered and get back to you. Just give us a ring or just an email. And thank y'all so much for joining me. And that's all I have for y'all today. Bye.